Hello, welcome to Writing Quest. My name is Brennan Pugh, and in today's episode, we are going to talk about writing the resolution of your novel. Got 5 tips for you. Here we go. Huzzah! All right, so the resolution is the final part of the 3-act story structure. It is the last part. It is where everything ends, everything comes together at the end of your story. And so we're going to talk about 5 tips on writing it. So here they are. Number 1, wrap up loose ends, then ask more questions. So especially if you're in a series, but you can do this even if it's the last book or it's even a standalone book or whatever, but especially if it's in a series, wrap up the loose ends from the story, but ask more questions. You need stuff that'll take your readers into the next book and have them wanting more. And so wrap up things in a satisfying way, give, endings to the storylines that are ending or sections of the storyline that are ending, and then go ahead and ask more questions, put more things out there. Brandon Sanderson does this really well, especially did this well in Words of Radiance, where I felt like the endings just kept coming. Like he just ended things, cliffhanger, end, cliffhanger, end, cliffhanger. I mean, by the end of the book, I was like, I have to read the next one because there were so many things in it that led me to want to read the next book. And so make sure that you wrap up loose ends in a satisfying way, but ask enough questions to get your reader to want to read the next book. Number 2, leave some loose ends unfinished. So you're wrapping up some, you're asking more questions, but some of them, especially if it's going to be a long series, you can leave unanswered. You can just not answer some of them. You can let those threads continue. And that's something, especially in long series where, Wheel of Time, the Stormlight Archive, like all these big, huge fantasy series have so many questions that they just kind of don't come back to for a long time. I would say sometimes I lose track of those in a big series. So for instance, in something like Wheel of Time, like you maybe don't hear about a storyline for a long time, then it pops back up again all of a sudden. And so definitely make sure that you revisit them enough that your reader doesn't forget about them. But you can definitely leave some of those loose ends unfinished so that they can kind of keep weaving the narrative through your stories. Number 3, drop your reader off a cliff. What do I mean by this? Cliffhangers. Make sure that you, at the end of the book, there's something, the last thing that they read in a series, if you're going to the next one, is to leave a big cliffhanger that really makes them go, holy crap, I have to read the next one. So whatever you're wrapping up loose ends, you're leaving some loose ends, you have a few cliffhangers there, but the last thing you do needs to be your biggest cliffhanger, your biggest thing that makes readers go, holy crap, I have got to read this part. I got to go to the next book right now. I have to get there. Save those big cliffhangers, build up your cliffhangers. So the ones in the beginning are slower, and then you build up until the last one is this huge cliffhanger where your reader has to read the next one. Number 4, give your reader all the information they need. So that doesn't mean all the information they want, but all the information they need. If you can see a theme of this video, it's all about those cliffhangers, it's all about those loose ends. So this is more about making sure that you wrap up enough of the loose ends and giving them all the information they need. So one of the things, it's a very tricky balance of you don't want them asking too many questions. You don't want them having too many unanswered things because then they're going to be frustrated. But you have to leave enough things unanswered and enough cliffhangers for them to want to read more. So there's a fine balance of giving them everything that they need to know. So the keyword there is need to know, not want. And number 5, your character needs to feel some contentment. So your character's been through a wild journey. They've been through this whole process of this whole story. They've went through all these big tragic events. They've fought battles. They've argued with people. They've met new people. They've had triumphs and joys. They've had this huge journey of stuff. So by the end of the story, there needs to be a level of contentment. Now, we got to be careful with that because obviously if you're doing a series of books, you don't necessarily need them to feel like it's the end. They don't need to feel like, it's the hobbits and they defeated Sauron, they put the ring in the Mount Doom and then they went home and it's all good and better. It doesn't need to be that, but it does need to be some level of yes, we're going into the next thing. Yes, we've got cliffhangers, but there's still a level of contentment of at least we made it through all of that we just did. So give your character a level of contentment so that there's a moment of pause and breath at the end of the story. That's it for this video on writing the resolution of your novel. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. All of those things help out the channel a lot. And we will see you next time on Writing Quest. Huzzah!